273? Yeah, 273, I think. This is your host, prepared as always, knowing his numbers and what happened last month or week or whatever. Why is Papa Smurf? And with me are two consummate professionals, gentlemen that you know and love, your favorite podcasters behind me, of course. Mentally Zill, what's up, buddy?
What's up? What's up, fam?
All right. And Double Sniffed is also here. What's up, buddy?
Greetings. What up?
All right. So today, all of the talk in League of Legends right now is about solo queue and what is going on with solo queue, where the bad mentality comes from, bad feelings, hurt feelings, sad state of solo queue, trolling, toxicity, and other garbage gone unpunished for too long, says Voyboy. So if you guys have never heard, listeners, Voyboy put a video up on Reddit two days ago, and its title is "The Sad State of League Solo Queue." It is him sitting on a staircase in SpongeBob pants, telling us about how he has recognized a problem in League Solo Queue, and that problem really started 3, 4 seasons ago. And every season, it has progressively gotten worse and worse and worse and worse until it's to the point where League Solo Queue has become unenjoyable. It has become a point of basically frustration to injustice. Uh, you see the same people getting with the same behaviors over and over and over again. And I suggest everybody here watch the video because it's fairly succinct. I mean, it's I think 9, 10 minutes long or
9 minutes.
something.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah, and it's really kind of a heart to heart with Voyboy. And background scenario. If anybody doesn't know who Voyboy is for some reason or another, or maybe you just got into League not too long ago or something, Voyboy was a pro player on Curse, and I think he also was on a couple other teams before Curse, but he was on Curse, and he was a mid and then a top, and he was surprisingly good at League. He's been a streamer forever, challenger player forever, and he's widely regarded as kind of one of the nicest pros on the pro scene, like just a generally
Yeah,
good
it's just
dude.
chill, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just a chill dude. And anybody who's watched his stream and watched his stuff can probably attest, like, yeah, that's a pretty chill dude. He's kind of like the opposite of a T1. So
A
that
beta.
yeah, he's a beta.
Yeah, a little
Yeah,
bit.
nice. So he's just a kind of a generally good dude. That being said, when a guy like this comes out and talks about what he's done and what he's said and like how he's basically calling Riot out on a large stage, this is not Hashunshin bitching. This is Voyboy bitching. That's a pretty big deal right off the bat. But I don't want to dominate this conversation. I don't want to be all about my opinion. What do you guys? You guys watch the video?
Mm-hmm.
hmm
First
Yeah.
impressions. What was your first thought?
I don't know. When he first started into it, I was kind of like, this is yet another, streamer complaining about League Solo Queue or the state of the game in a way that's just like, I can tell their patience is worn down, right? But I don't know if this is necessarily like actually a trend that's going on. It just seems to be like, really emotional, and they may have like just had a bad season or whatever.
Okay, so
Um,
your first impression is that we have a burned out streamer
yeah,
that's just
and
like,
it's like, yeah, you've been doing this for fucking 9 years, man. Like, of course eventually you're gonna burn out. Like, that's fine.
yeah,
Um, but as he started talking, I don't know, it kind of convinced me. I was like, you know what? Like, he has been very patient this entire time. And I think it's because I actually had a similar conversation in my professional life recently, where like I kind of brought up some issues to the owners of my company that had kind of been going on for about 3 or 4 years. and they just had never gotten fixed. And I started to feel that like same tone of just like you're just done. You're done, but you've been patient this entire time. Like you've given everybody the benefit of the doubt along the way. You've documented everything. You've tried to have the right conversations the right way, and you know you don't necessarily have sheets of data and screenshots of everything over the years. You're just giving your testimony as to what has been going on, and you're hoping that they, in good faith, will believe you. And that's what he seems to be doing with Riot. And I think the familiarity of that tone really caught me. I was like, oh my god, I just did this. So I really felt it all of a sudden about 3 or 4 minutes in. So yeah, I don't know. I was actually like initially when this was brought up, I was like, I'm going to make counter arguments to this because I think he's just burnt out. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think he's got a point.
Well, okay, so to address your initial impression, because there is some of that in there. He specifically mentions a whole lot of problems that plague streamers and like popular figures in the league scene, right? So, and things that are specifically at the highest elos, like, oh man, I have people stream sniping me, and I have people like trying to get into my games just to troll me, or like people have an int list and blah 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 blah. Like nobody has an int list in plat because you're never gonna fucking see these people again. That's a diamond plus thing, right?
Yeah.
So immediately that right there, I was like, okay, but I mean, high elo has always been like that, right? Like it's always had an endless. You know, everybody and their dog talks about, oh, I get on this team with this motherfucker and I'll end their dick off. You know, like that's always been a thing in League solo queues. So I was kind of like, really, why are you bitching about this now? But he really like zooms out on those problems. I don't really feel like it is specific. Like everything he said was specific to Halo. I feel like a lot of it's trickled down.
Also, I started to form the argument in my head that like if this is something that they're continuously seeing with the same people over again, like as in, yeah, this happens to him a lot because he's a streamer, but it happens a lot with the same people, right? And it's documented because it's on a stream, and yet still Riot does nothing. You know, then maybe they're definitely, you know, if they're definitely not hitting those people with penalties, then they're definitely not hitting the plat 4 player in my elo that does this shit. Like Tom Kench and eats me up and, you know, runs away with me or tries to flash into the enemy team. Like they're definitely not punishing him. And the other thing is I thought of is like, yeah, he was when he's talking about, you know, if you really want to get caught or banned or punished or whatever, you know, you just have to like have a language filter hit you with something. And other than that, like you're pretty much fine. Or AFK, you know, like things that are automated. And I have kind of felt like that lately. Someone really has to like fuck up in those two ways for me to like get a feedback report or something.
Well, and so remember our good friend Ponderous Sea Lion.
I do.
Ponderous had the issue that he was actually like he's a generally negative person. Like,
no.
Yeah. I'm going out on a limb here. I've played enough games with him. Dude is negative as fuck whenever it comes to games. Something happens, it's like, this is bullshit. I'm done. Fuck this. That's Ponderous, though. And I literally will, like, drag him out of the mental doldrums and be like, hey, dude, fucking play.
Also, that there's a little bit of, like, there are some people who talk like that, right? But they still play as if they're in it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Or Ponderous. And Ponderous largely is that. Like, his mouth will say one thing, but he's playing totally differently than how he's talking.
Right. So there is that. But Ponderous got himself in trouble on several occasions across the many seasons that he played League of Legends. And one of the specific things that he got himself in trouble doing was that he would tell people that trolled. And I mean, I'm not talking about you're having a bad game. Like he wouldn't, oh no, you're 0-3. You're a degenerate piece of shit. Go, you know, get gunned down in the street or anything. Nothing like that. But if you actually went out of your way to ruin the game and to not win intentionally, he would call you out in chat in a hilariously toxic manner right?
Yep.
And he would get punished and they would not.
Right.
Every time.
Right.
And so then that kind of goes all over you because you're like, well, why the fuck is Ponderous getting punished for being the guy that calls out the piece of shit, and the piece of shit themselves are not being punished for doing all the shit that they're doing wrong? Like, in what world does this work? And does this encourage, I mean, not even punish bad behavior, but encourage good behavior? Like, there's no mechanism by which you're changing the hearts and minds of this dickhead who's going to feed intentionally.
We've been talking about that particular hypocrisy for, it seems like, years.
Right.
Like,
but I
about
mean,
how if you say the wrong thing, instant problem. But if you can or grief or do whatever you want to, and you're fine.
well, I mean, I'll just put it this way. Like, I would, in the long, like, I would far rather have the ability, like, have somebody use offensive language at me, use racial slurs, do whatever the fuck that they want to do, because then I can just write them off as a person.
Or mute them.
Or mute them. No, I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. Write them off as a person. Like, bloop, you don't exist. I can't hear you anymore. Right? Dude dropped
like
a hard, yeah, like, dude dropped a hard R in word, and you're done. You know, that's fine. I can do that. But if you're inting me, I have no agency to control any of that. I can't make you play. And because I am powerless to stop that behavior, the game developer has to.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the big issue is, because that is 90% of the frustration of League of Legends. And I mean, keep in mind there's a very vocal part of the fan base that has the opinion that's like, my X laner is doing bad. They're inting, and that's makes me want to punch part of the community, because I'm like, just because somebody's fucking up doesn't mean that they're inting you, right? Tell me that somebody who's 0-4 is inting, and I want to slap you in the face, because they're not dying on purpose. They're dying because they don't know how to not die, right? Most of the time. Now, if they're 0-4 and running it down mid and then going bottom and running it down, and then, like, that is inting. And we need to stop exaggerating those words so they actually have meaning again.
Yeah. The thing is, they look a lot alike in the stats, right? Like,
yeah. 0-9 looks like 0-9.
It's really hard to tell sometimes.
Oh, it's really hard to tell if you're only willing to look at the bare minimum of metrics. Like,
okay, all right.
It's really hard to tell if you don't actually invest in telling. Like, if you don't put any effort into it, of course it's possible. Could never decipher who's intentionally feeding and who's just having a bad game. It's just not possible. It's like bullshit. And in fact, I remember 6 months ago, me and Blake talking about this idea where if you paid 1,000 blue essence, or I would pay somebody, I would pay $200, not $200, 200 RP, right? To have Riot actually look and spend some time on a game. And if I'm right, I get my money back and they get punished, right? And if I'm wrong, I lose. That way Riot makes money. People are doing that, and you have a marketplace for enforcement. I still think that's one of the better policies. You should get, like,
I've never heard that idea. That sounds great.
You get one free sort of like magnifying glass or microscope. Make the first one like 4,000 blue essence, and then after that, increase. The more you use it, the more it costs. But if you're right, just like your penalty flag in football, your review flag, you throw your challenge flag, you get it back.
Challenge, yeah.
Like, and then people are encouraged not only to like be accurate with what they're doing, but Riot makes money. You have better enforcement of it. And I mean, all you need is the specter of it to fix most of the stuff.
Well, that's what I was thinking, is like separating inting from griefing in the reporting category. Because, like, I think griefing is like, you can grief a million different ways. And
Oh,
inting is
yeah.
one very particular behavior, and one that like a lot of people will false report, right? Because they say, he's inting, just like Blake said, right? But they're not inting. But you can tell griefing pretty quickly in a game by the tone, right? And then like it doesn't necessarily always have to be feeding. It's like when Ash, what game was, I don't know who it was I was playing with. I think it was one of you two.
You played with
Like,
me, and I
that's what
remember
you-
this. Go
Yeah,
on.
fucking Ash was just like, I am not going to participate in the mid game of this game at all. I'm going to go to a side lane and farm and last hit only, and that's it. I'm not even going to push. And we just didn't have her there for any Baron fights,
Hell,
any team fights.
We drugged the fight to the edge of her vision, and she didn't stop shooting minions.
Yes, we kited in her general direction, and she flinched not at all. Like, didn't even try to move.
She shot an ult and missed. That was
yeah,
it. That was the extent of her involvement. It was like, I'm just going to haphazardly.
Like, you do that for 15 minutes, right, straight in a game, and don't fight at all with anybody or your team, that's griefing. Yeah. And that's not inting. And that's worse than inting, in my opinion, in some ways. Because you hold the game hostage.
Yeah. Or it's like, how come, and this is the biggest complaint that I have, is like Riot has double spoke themselves into a situation where they will not address some of this stuff. Because like, oh, Dota has Prisoner Island, right?
What's that?
Dota
I've never heard of this.
Oh, okay, it's great. Or awful, depending. So what they do is if you get put on Prisoner Island because you're inting, griefing, whatever, and it takes like pretty much a verified report, right? They send you to Prisoner Island. You are put in low priority queue. The games take longer to queue. When you get into a game, because it's only other toxic shitheads in Prisoner Island. Yeah.
I love it.
See, I want to make an account just to get there, though.
No, wait. Here's where. Okay, so wait. They go, okay.
I live here now.
To get out. No. To get out of Prisoner Island, you have to win first offense one game. Win one game. Not play one game. Win one game.
Got it.
Okay? Cool. However, they throw a curveball. They pick 3 of your team's champions at random for each team.
Fucked up.
Oh, yeah. And they let you draft 2. So they pick 3, let you draft 2.
That's right, because you get all the champions in Dota, don't you?
Right. So it's like, bing, you each get these 3. Good luck. You also get to pick these 2. Fight amongst yourself, toxic children, on who gets to draft and who gets to pick.
Brilliant.
Oh, and you have to win in order to get out. So you're going to have to try, and hopefully your team doesn't go mental boom. Bye.
See, Riot would just set up Prisoner Island win trading. We'd just be like, all right, you guys do this. Like, it's our turn now. Like, it's Wednesday.
You can't win. You can't win trade because then you're out and they're not.
Yeah, that's the thing. No, you just have an agreement. So, whoever's top side, whoever's red side wins. Whoever's blue side loses.
And you just play it through, and then you're
and you're out in 15 minutes, and you treat it like a bot game. You just treat it like 30, like your first game's 30.
But yeah, so that's what they do. And then if you get sent back to Prisoner Island, you're in like a 3 game and 3 wins, then 5 wins. Yeah, no, just 3 total, Jesus. And then 5 total, and then whatever, more and more and more and more, and then eventually people just quit because they're like, I hate this fucking prisoner system. It's awful. And so basically what you're doing is you're forcing the experience of leveling up a new account on seasoned players by giving them some random shit that they have to deal with and making them win in an environment with toxic shitheads. So it's clearly punishment. Now Riot has come forward and said, nah, we don't subscribe to punishment per se. Like if you're gonna ban you, you're just gonna get banned. We're not gonna punish you, right?
Well, there's no learning experience then, is there? Like,
well, there's no consequences. So aside from the ultimate consequence, and if that is the only tool in your box, this is never going to be a fixed problem.
If you're
because it's like, imagine a criminal justice system, and the only thing we had was capital punishment.
Right. So it's basically Christianity. Got it.
Oh, spicy.
Ooh, hot
No, I
take.
mean, there's a saying that like if you solve all your problems with a hammer, sooner or later everything looks like a nail. Like,
Right.
No, that's fair.
Just like Christianity.
ooh.
And that was an Easter joke.
Was an Easter joke.
So
I
anyway.
did miss Easter.
So anyway, ah man, I feel bad now. Sorry, Jesus. You see Jesus's
I'm
fucking
not the one wearing
shred.
a Cassville Methodist Church T-shirt.
Yeah, I actually am wearing a Cassville United Methodist Church T-shirt. Woo!
I'm wearing Joe Exotic, baby.
Yeah.
I got hieroglyphics. We're pagan as fuck.
So anyway, well that yeah, because I'm wearing the T-shirt, I can make the joke, right? That's how it works. Anyway, I've saw Jesus's shredded cum gutters. I'm
He'll
good.
forgive you. Yeah,
He'll forgive me. I've seen it on Rick and Morty. So anyway, that being said, like that's their concept for Prisoner Island. That's what Dota does, and supposedly like the trolling and shit in Dota is much less because people do not want to go to Prisoner Island, and so okay, you know. I would almost be down for that because you need a punishment that's shorter than just you're banned. Like is more applicable universally. Like, you know, if I got random flagged for inting and it was wrong and I had to go to Prisoner Island, would that piss me off? Yeah, but I wouldn't stop playing League.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'd just be like, oh fuck, I really fucked that game up.
Let's be fair. I'm the only one here who'd be willing to do something bad enough to get sent to Prisoner Island.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, anybody that you queue with, like your friends, like if you wanted to duo your way out, they get put in Prisoner Island with you.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, so yikes. So anyway,
Dota's just fascinating to me. Like I hate the game personally. Like the idea that there's turning speed and everything like just makes me freak the fuck out. But
Turning
like
speed?
yeah, like the action of turning around is
you can't kite like you can in League where you just instantly turn. You have to like actually battleship your way around and things. It's like fucking weird, man. But yeah, like when I But when I hear shit about like the kinds of abilities that are in the game that just sound so broken, right? Or I hear.
Well, I mean, Dota is a game of
so fascinating.
Yeah, Dota is a game of broken abilities. That's the whole point. It's like quick draw. You know, like I have an ability that stuns you for 4.5 seconds. Blah, you know, and everybody has that kind of shit. So it's balanced, but it's balanced in a way that like everything is a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
Right. And so, okay. But I mean, shit like this, like. We're going to pick a bunch of... And that makes Prisoner Island even more devastating, because if you get a bad set of champions...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're fucked. You know, like... You get the wrong buttons. But, like... Or it's like a champion that you've never played and you're shit at. Yeah, you're fucked. You know, and so... It's... Basically, like, you're A-ramming yourself out of a terrible mentality group of shit ads. I love this idea. I think we should do it. But Riot's already said, no, we will not do that. So they will have to like reverse train on corporate culture to do this. And the other interesting thing is
what? Hold on.
They have to
reverse train on corporate culture?
Right, because they've come forward and said we're not into punishing like that. Like we don't want to punish.
They don't even punish sexual assault in their own fucking headquarters.
All right. That's a fair point.
So I mean, they've literally came forward. Somebody brought up Prisoner Island like a year ago, and they said, no, we will never do that. We don't want to do Prisoner Island because our concept is like we don't want to false punish anybody for anything. So having easier punishments with easier applicability means that we run the risk of false punishment. And so
I'll take that in my criminal justice system. Sounds great for a criminal justice system.
Yeah, sounds great. Nobody ever does anything wrong. So, I mean, here's the reality though. Like, I think that like one of Voyboy's biggest complaints in that regard is like you have all of these people that are copyable and imitatable getting away with all of these terrible atrocities, and that has trickled down into every other elo for 3 years because they've gotten away with it, and they are the face of your game. The streamers are the face of your game. And let's talk a bit about it. Okay, people talk about Night Blue being a toxic piece of shit. I don't know. I don't watch Night Blue, so I have no frame of reference for this. He may be the most
He wasn't
toxic.
always that way, is my understanding as well. But
Yeah, he may be the most toxic douchebag ever. But he's also got 3 million followers on YouTube, which is rounded up 3 million more followers than this wholesome program has.
Do the math.
Yeah.
So that being said, it works. And if being a toxic shitbag works, and that's what we propel to the top of the ratings charts, that shit's never going to change. Ever. And so, Yamato Cannon, you guys know Yamato Cannon?
I just saw his response and I didn't watch it. I love that dude. He's fucking.
I watched his response. It was pretty vanilla for the most of it. His proposal.
He's a Riot employee, so he can't.
Is he a Riot employee? I thought he was an outside contractor.
He's a caster. He casts for the LEC now, or has for a while.
Well, okay. So his reply is basically this: what we need to do is pay Riot employees to only watch high elo, challenger, master tier streamer games, and police streamers. Because if we police streamers, then it gets out of the culture, and then the good behavior will trickle down. I'm like, well, that's fine if you had done that 3 years ago.
Right, as a preventative measure.
Yeah, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Right. It's like cow's already out of the barn, man. Like, it's done. You
can
created
put a cow back in a barn, Blake. That's rather easy.
No, you can't. Have you ever tried? Physically,
it's
you have
actually difficult having grown up on a farm and tried to put cows.
You get like 60 ecstasy tablets.
You have to lure those motherfuckers.
When you're gonna have to do it.
Yeah, you have to lure them in with grain and shit. They have to get hungry and want to come back. They
Just
are
get them high.
And even then, they know what you want. They don't want.
They don't want to give it to you. They know exactly what you want. They don't want to do that.
Stolen ass cows.
They're like, other cows die in that barn.
All right,
I don't want to go in there.
I'm gonna rest on the fact that you two probably have more cow expertise than me.
Yeah, I do. For the record, grew up on a ranch. He was Amish or whatever. We're good. So anyway,
Missouri.
All that said, like, I think you would have had a good point, Yamato, like 3 years ago. I don't think that's going to work now because the toxic behavior is already here. You're talking about a stopgap that will not. Okay, so you're punishing toxic people in highest elos. Are you going to punish them in regular elos? Because if you don't, like, there needs to be a certain amount of fear that acting in such a way will cause you to get banned or punished or prisoner island or whatever. The other thing that he brought up that he almost immediately dismissed that I don't think is dismissal worthy is forced timeouts. Right? And what I would call this, if I was Riot and I was a Riot spin doctor, is I would call this not I'm forcing you, like, you inted, so here's a delay from you going back into solo queue games. I would consider it like if I was spinning this to the public, it would be something like tilt prevention break. Hey, we've detected that you may be tilting. Why don't you take a break from rank for X minutes, and then you can come back whenever you've mentally reset. Thanks, Summoner. We're worried about you.
I mean, yeah, but that's no different. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I agree with you on that. But
Practically no different, but it's the wording that sells the.
It doesn't matter what the fucking wording is. If you're the drunk asshole at the bar who's like loud and fucking obnoxious and so obviously drunk that the bartender's like, hey, you've had enough. I'm not serving you anymore. How the fuck are they going to react? Now, the cool thing is with a video game is like, well, they can't log on. So, and I mean, I agree with you on this. I think this is a good move. I don't think you need to focus much on how to sell it to people because the people that it's being sold to aren't buying anything. They're right. You're wrong.
Yeah,
They're not
okay,
a
that's a
mistake
good
to
point.
be reasoned with. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
you know, you cut a guy off and he's going to be fucking belligerent because he's probably an alcoholic.
Well, no, I mean, more than anything, what I'm talking about is selling it in terms of Riot culture. Because remember, at Riot, we don't punish people. So we don't want this to be a punishment. We want this to be a seatbelt.
I don't think you can you can't semantic your way around that.
Or the other players, though. But
that's what I am doing, yes. Because I don't think Riot will do this without it.
The stupid position of we don't punish people and let's semantics our way around it. Like just recognize.
No, I'm sorry.
Hold on.
It's the idea if they don't punish people because they do. If you are AFK, you get punished. If you int, you get punished. If you say bad words, you get punished. The punishment is there for only certain offenses. That's the problem. We want it to be for griefing also. That's not that big of an ask.
Well, I mean, I think it is in terms of like. It's very difficult to automatically detect griefing.
Sure, we would like you to pay attention more to Riot to what happens in your games. That's what we're asking. Yeah.
Yeah.
If only there was like a country where they didn't have like minimum wage laws and you could send these videos to those people and pay them like, I don't know, like $1 an hour and train them to identify griefing and then they could render decisions. Imagine a world where we could do that.
Basically, any griefing that happens, there should be its own box for you to check for reporting, right? And then when you click it, in order for it to go through, you have to type something in the text box, okay? And it has to be, and the filter can be like, it has to be a coherent sentence, right? It has to be something. And then if 2 people do that, if 2 people click the griefing box and write down what happened, then it goes to someone who reviews it. And it goes to someone who's played the game and understands it, and you get like 48 hours while it's under review.
I just thought of the best solution to this. This is what? All right. So Riot is now owned by a Chinese company, right? What is it, Tencent or something?
Mm-hmm.
They own it. Okay. So it kind of harps on what Blake was talking about.
Okay.
We have this prisoner island, which is an island filled with Chinese prisoners. And we use their prison labor to review the games.
Okay.
And if they do a good enough job, like, give them a little extra rat meat or something. Like, we have an untapped prisoner island just waiting.
So you don't have to give them anything. Then they'll feel entitled. You just beat them less.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't need much. Just Chinese prisoners.
Yeah.
You know, Chinese prison labor is how we're going to this is how we can make our world a better place.
And y'all thought I was spicy. Jesus Christ.
Draw the line at xenophobic fucking prison. It's not xenophobic. It's a total byproduct of their national legal structure. It has nothing to do with their race. This type of totalitarian government exists in many, many different regions.
So we could farm it out to China.
Riot is owned in China,
Yeah.
which has access to
Yeah.
Chinese slave prison labor.
Right.
I just want to harness that for our benefit.
Right. Harness the Chinese slave labor
I don't
for
shop
good.
at Walmart. You know what I mean? I want to cash in on some of this shit. I don't buy cheap made in Chinese shit. I buy American, but goddamn it, I'd love to have my games reviewed by somebody who's already got an axe to grind. You know what I mean? Like Prisoner Island. I love it.
Yeah. So, okay. One more thing. I did want to talk about like kind of forced timeouts. What do you guys think?
Want to say something else?
What do you guys think of the idea, though?
I just felt like the idea of like checking boxes and text worked. Like because multiple testimony from people who are not duo partners about the situation is going to be much more reliable than having one person click a box, right? So then have those. I
like that, and I still like my idea of spending RP to get.
The thing is, I hadn't heard of that until just now, and I think that's fucking fabulous.
Yeah, and the more people that do it, the less RP it should fucking cost.
That's great.
If 5 people click the box and you don't know ahead of time, like it should cost less RP to get it done. But you risk your reputation. If you're selling wolf tickets all the time, if you're crying wolf, which is what that's selling wolf tickets is a prison terminology.
I thought this was a Firefest reference.
Wait. Selling wolf tickets is a prison?
You never heard this?
No, never heard
Selling
this.
wolf tickets? It's somebody who's like, ready to fight all the time. So, oh man, you won't do shit. You won't do shit. Man, take these chains off me and we'll fight. And then they take the chains like, oh man, we good. I don't want to go to the hole. That's called selling wolf tickets. I used to have a friend who was a federal prison bureau, and then he stabbed me in the back, and he's a piece of shit, and I hope he gets COVID. That's a different story.
Sounds like you bought some of that guy's wolf tickets.
We're not friends anymore. Yeah, I sold him COVID blankets for free.
Sold him. Hey, I got a good deal on some of these.
I got buddies in an ER doctor. I was like, hey, can you rub this happy birthday card on the most sickliest motherfucker's nose? I need to mail it to my motherfucking friend. Happy birthday. I don't even know when his birthday is.
Why did I get this card from him in September?
Hey, I really want to patch things up. I feel bad about everything. Happy birthday. I know
Man,
it's not your birthday, but
hard to breathe. I don't know.
Breathe deep, All
right,
scratch and sniff.
So before we move on, Pat, okay, so we've covered RP to pay to review, Chinese prison labor, and forced timeouts. But we didn't really. What are you guys' opinions on the forced timeouts? Do you think that's a good idea, or just it's not going to do anything?
I think you try a bunch of different shit. Like, look, it's punishment.
Isn't the long queue times? Isn't that forced timeouts?
First of all, that's a good point.
Same thing.
I dodged a bunch of games. I got tired on an alternate account. I made this account and I was like, I don't really give a fuck about it. And I had a couple of games where I was just really pissed. It was like 3 a.m. and I was like, I don't want to stick around for this. Alt F4. I'm done. And I did that 2 times in a row and they gave me a 20-minute queue penalty. I have not played that account in a year and a half. Because I don't want to wait 20 minutes to play a game. And if you don't catch it, it starts the 20 minutes over. So I think the queue time delays are one of the most effective fucking punishments, period. Low priority queue is an absolute monster. And I can't imagine what it would be like. I get a game normally in 3 minutes. If you're high elo, Jesus fucking Christ. You don't, or maybe that doesn't help because they're used to long queue times. You know what I mean? But I think queue timing, the low priority queue is one of the most effective tools at number one, it keeps people out of the game. It forces a mental reset. It is really a pain in the fucking ass. If you've got 10 games where you have to wait 30 minutes, sure, you can alt tab and play Call of Duty or, go do the dishes and set a timer on your phone. But that's a pain in the ass. Chat restrictions never bothered me every time I got chat restricted because my win percentage always went up. I just muted everybody and actually played better.
Yeah.
And I tell people that too. They're like, you're going to get chat restricted. I'm like, great. My win percentage will go up 5%, you numbnuts. Report me, please.
So, okay. Last one that got brought up as a major solution by the community is the tribunal. Do you guys remember the tribunal?
I remember what they said was a tribunal. I never believed them when they said it was a tribunal. I think it's a load of fucking PR horseshit. Tell them there's a tribunal. Tell them that their case will be heard before the wizard commune and they will
actually, it's funny you said wizard commune because I kept thinking it's like a witch trial every time you go to the tribunal. Somebody's just going to be like, burn them! And, that would be the automatic response every time. And from people that were in the tribunal, there were those that they wouldn't even read it, wouldn't look over anything. They'd just, punish, click. And I guess what the tribunal would do is, as you went against the weight of the whatever over and over and over again, they would determine whether you were just a punish them all and give you very little weight and blah, 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 blah. So if you did a good job, then your opinion carries more and blah, 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 blah.
If you vote the same way every time, you throw away your vote no matter what. If you're always voting to burn, if you always vote not guilty, then everybody knows what you're going to do and it's worthless. If you always vote guilty, same way. You've got to do it that way. So I don't know. Now, my dream is to be reported, walk in digitally somehow to this tribunal, point at all these motherfuckers and say, I don't give a fuck about your booze. I've seen what makes you cheer. and then drop the mic and bounce out like fucking Rick.
What is that?
That's Rick and Morty.
Yeah, okay. I was like, which episode is that?
I don't remember. Like one of the good ones. Your boos don't scare me. I've seen what makes you cheer.
Yeah. So all that said is like, I think we've got a pretty good handle. I think our idea is probably the best one I've ever heard, which is the
Prisoner Island.
Prisoner Island with pay to review is particularly the best one. Because, I mean, I will tell you, I think we all recognize that we need a human being to look at some of these games. The problem is, like, the scale of games played is ungodly massive.
You would have to do this in the third world. There's no other option. Like, economically. And I'm not trying to, like, I don't like, I'm not going to talk about globalization or politics stuff, but, like, there are ways to send this data to places where people would be happy to fucking make whatever they make.
Not if you have the RP thing going, I don't think. But
what's that?
Not if you have the RP method. I think if you're paying Riot to do it, it's a lot better off. You're not
they're going to send it to the third world no matter what. Like, they're not going to pay
they're not paying an American.
Like, the sad truth is that my Chinese prison island is actually the most realistic scenario.
I've worked at a call center before for Apple. I did not get paid that much money, okay? Like, I felt like,
But you could have been paid less if you lived in Bangladesh.
Right. Yeah, Bangladesh still makes not shit. So, but I mean, here.
Where is it Malaysia? Is that where our podcast is doing well? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Malaysia, which is where they should export these jobs. We're trying
to create jobs, yeah.
Yeah, we love Malaysia.
We need to support. Watch the third world country talk is all I'm saying.
Well, no, I'm just saying we need to support local economies. Malaysians are amazing, and they've powerfully supported us on iTunes and other global things. So we appreciate them. Number 63.
I mean, when I bring up these like third world, it's not like I'm not saying that I advocate this. What I'm trying to say is, like, ultimately Riot is a business that wants to make money, and the idea of pay to review is profitable.
Well, okay. So let me just put it this way. $5 in RP is 650 points. If you charge 650 points to review a game, and you had the coach's flag kind of thing going on, well, one, I think that would give Riot an incentive to say there's nothing wrong here and I'm going to keep your money. Would be a problem. But if you pay the $5 and there is something wrong and Riot bans the son of a bitch for it, they make no money. And so
that's the thing. You don't have to ban somebody. You can just take somebody out of ranked queue for a month. You can give somebody a low priority queue. And I think that's one of the other issues that we have here is, like, there's a serious lack of transparency. I mean, imagine if you were Blake, you and I are both criminal attorneys. Like, we go to court. Like, imagine being a victim. All right. Like, and somebody broke into your house, fucking fucked your house all up, and you're the victim. And the state, the prosecutor, the court is like, all right, Mr. Smurf. We're going to have this hearing. You don't get to come. We heard your report. You gave it to us, and we disciplined them.
Maybe.
And you know what I mean? Like,
you might or might not find out whether there was ever
exactly. Yeah. And I mean, honestly, if you're having so many toxic players and you're reporting more than one person in a 3 to 5 day period, you don't know who got it. So it's like, hey, I had 8 people break into my house and rub their shit on my bedroom. I don't know why they're doing this. One of them
stabbed a knife that said Jeremy was here and then called me a racial slur. I'm pretty sure it was that guy that got
Mr.
banned.
Fields, one of the 8 people, at least one of the 8 people was recently disciplined by our criminal justice system. Like, that's not how it was. Like, if you report somebody, they should send you a message saying, hey, we got your report. This is what this person, this is the person you reported. This is what we did to them.
And keep in mind, the punishment translation to real life, if we're doing this whole real life to Riot games analogy, right? The punishment would be, Mr. Fields, they broke into your house, they stole your stuff, and they wrote hateful things on your walls. And now they are not allowed to use the U.S. Postal Service for 14 days. I hope you feel better. They will not be sending any other packages or letters to loved ones.
Well, that's fine, but at least that's a conversation that you can have. Like, at least there's transparency that allows some sort of meaningful discussion about that. Because, like, it's one thing to say, hey, the conversation that we're having now, which is there's no punishment whatsoever. We don't know what happens. These people never get punished. Nothing ever happens to them, is a far different cry than, hey, we know exactly what's happening. We're getting accurate information on how effective our reports are and the discipline that Riot's doing. We just don't think it goes far enough.
Well,
Like,
okay,
that's a much better position to be in, right?
So, like, I guess this is my point. To put what you have to say and use Riot's own words to explain what the problem is. Riot has literally dropped statistics on what percentage of players get punished. And they're always like, it is the worst point, blah, blah, blah percent that get banned or chat restricted. And it's always less than 1%. Right? Do you remember these statistics? If anybody of you can Google that real quick and tell me what that number is, that would be great. But it's always like less than, in my recollection, it was like less than 1% or 1%, right? And I'm like, okay, but I'm not getting trolled in 1% or less of my games.
Yeah.
That's happening all the fucking time. Like, this is not a problem of the 1%.
Like that Katarina top that we played with. What a treat that was.
Yeah. Like, I'm not...
Somehow lost lane.
To a Shin, who she'd never be able to blow up in a million years. Sure. And so, fine. I'm getting trolled in more than 1% of my games. So if that's the case, then your metrics are shit.
No,
Like,
I mean, also,
you're underhanding your metrics.
I'm going to say, number one, I don't fucking believe a word they say.
Well,
like,
don't
just because
brag.
Riot tells me, oh, only 1%, that's a PR bullshit. They had a meeting about that to say, oh, what should we tell them that our player base is doing? We don't fucking know. They're not giving us this raw data. We don't have any way to verify this. This is a corporation that has a PR department, and they're going to tell us whatever they think is the most profitable thing to tell us. Like, they're not going to tell us the truth. They have no obligation to be honest with us because we have no actual way of verifying or disproving what they're telling us. If we had this, if somebody could like hack into them and figure out all this shit and be like, no, Riot's fucking full of shit. Like, but we don't. You know what I mean? If somebody did, that'd be fucking
fucking Travis Gafford, investigative journalist. Like,
instead of penetrating the NSA, Edward Snowden went deep into the Riot servers and got us the troll numbers.
He got farted on for 3 months to get us this data.
And he is now on Prisoner Island, somewhere in the Jishao region. Reviewing your games.
So, yeah, okay. So, there is one other thing that I want to talk about.
That's where the name Snowdown really comes from. Yeah.
So, Valorant, right?
Okay.
Cool. In Valorant, I don't know if do you guys play at all?
I didn't get a beta, nor did I attempt to get a beta.
Same.
Okay. Same. Okay. In Valorant, yeah, all right. In Valorant, a Riot game, I can report somebody at any stage of the game. During the game, pre-game lobby, post-game lobby, after the game is over, I can just go back, right-click their name, and file a report at any point. Like, I locked in, and by the way, it also has voice chat in it.
Wait, are you telling me that Riot has the technology to let people's voice, like people on a team can talk to each other?
No. Remember that Riot's reasoning for not allowing voice chat in League of Legends is that it would be too toxic, and they couldn't monitor it. In Valorant, we have voice chat. It's not too toxic. You can mute people. It's not a problem. It's the way, it's a tactical shooter. You have to have voice chat. Just like League of Legends is a tactical fucking, like, MOBA. It's a fucking MOBA.
They should only give voice chat to the marksmen, since they're the only shooters in the game.
Right.
That's your solution.
So
I feel that.
So this is my problem. Is like, if you're going to have this, if you're going to have this corporate bullshit culture that has made up all of these like fucking fake rules that, oh, we don't want to be toxic, so we don't want to allow people to have these tools to be toxic with, then do it across all of your fucking games. Because everything that you have done in Valorant could be cross-applied to League of Legends and make it better.
I mean, I think the real commentary here is that it proves that Riot fundamentally has just given up on policing the League of Legends community and considers it's a lost cause. Like, I mean, that's what the data tells me.
I mean,
that's what they're just like, hey, we can't fix it, and we can't have voice chat, and we can't do these other things because this community is so fucking toxic, and we're not going to take the time or the effort.
But like shit in Valorant, I locked in fucking Viper's my main character, the Poison Lady, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna play her. This will be fun. Literally lock it in, and I have a kid call me the hard R N-word in voice chat for stealing his champion. And I'm like,
I mean, that is kind of a never mind.
I was like, okay, it's blind pick, by the way. So you just pick.
What if I just said that N-word move? What if I just it's like, well, Blake, that is a pick.
That is pretty bad, you know. Maybe. Yeah. So it's like, okay, so what are my options? I literally like right-click the kid's name, reported him for offensive language. I don't know how they're going to verify that, but whatever. I made the report. And then, like, as I was going to mute him, he's like, actually, that was bad of me. That was on the wrong foot. I don't want to get started on that foot. Sorry, man.
That's not a good icebreaker.
Yeah, he goes, let's just do he's like, we good?
Realization.
We good? Let's just do a reset. And I'm like, yeah. Oh, I mean, okay, but don't do that again. Like,
only because I'm white.
Only because I'm white is this. I have permission to tell you that that's okay. As a white male, let me just tell you that that's all right this time. You got away with it.
It's because I'm white. You say that to the wrong person.
Because yeah, I would be the target audience that would be offended. But regardless, so you know, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, that was bad, but what happened, right? Like. What happened? I reported the guy. I muted him. We moved on. Fine. Not a problem. Didn't impact my game any more than that. You know, cool. Like, hopefully he'll get banned or something eventually for racial slurring his ass off. But, like, that's the end of it. And I had the ability to do that in pregame chat. Why do I have the ability to do that in pregame chat in Valorant, but not in League of Legends, and both games have the same developer?
Yeah.
Why do I have voice chat in one and not the other? Why is League voice chat only for pre-mades? It's in the game. Just open it up. It makes no sense.
It's in StarCraft. Like, yeah.
It's in every game. Every game ever. Counter-Strike has had voice chat forever.
I was thinking like similar games, but yeah.
I mean, StarCraft, the reason toxicity isn't a problem in StarCraft is because there's no penalty for leave.
Had like,
you just leave. You don't like the game, I quit. I forfeit. Good game. I'm done. No penalty. You just lose.
Yeah, and your teammates can take over your character, and good luck.
I never bases. Much. I always did solo. But
yeah,
that's.
I mean, hell, even in 2 versus 2, if you leave, then I get control of your base.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the issues.
Zill's gone.
Oh no.
And you're now split in a weird way in 2 windows. So this seems like a good time to call it.
I don't see it on Twitch.
We're on Twitch.
Oh yeah, wow.
Yeah, you look great. Just kind of dip or stand up, one of the two.
Yeah, I can get my t-shirt in one.
Yeah, get your t-shirt in one and your balls in the other. That looks great. So, anyway.
Are my balls out? Oh, shit.
Yeah, so yeah. No, whenever you talked about Prisoner Island, it reminded me of what Lucille Bluth said about the homosexuals, and it was great. Do you ever watch Arrested Development?
Of course.
Yeah, she's like, we just get them
on
an island.
I'm not a Chinese prisoner.
Yeah, we just get them on an island, and they can go there. And like, oh, God.
You are on it.
So, okay. With that, I guess we'll wrap. I guess Zill's gone. I don't know what happened, but we were going to talk about some other stuff, but instead we just talked about toxicity. And since
that's
Zill
probably
left,
the best topic for the week.
Probably so. So there you have it, guys. If you have anything else you want to add about toxicity, I think we addressed what Twitch chat said, so that's cool. And yeah, Patreon. Thank you guys for your support. I know COVID makes everything harder. We're kind of on the threshold for what the podcast needs to survive right now. So if any of you start going back to work and can actually afford to drop us anything financially, we would appreciate it. And I'm not
Because
going to
we all
harp in.
filed for unemployment based on the podcast. 'Cause
Right.
We're all
Right.
getting $700 a week from the government.
Yeah. This
since the podcast numbers are down.
Yeah, this podcast is brought to you by the state of North Carolina Public Defender System.
Hell yeah, 55 an hour.
55 an hour.
60 for superior court cases. Yeah, boy.
We're gonna retire, son.
Fucking A, maybe.
You know, so there you have it. But I'm trying to log into Patreon so I can do a shout out. There's been some talk about a tournament. Do you know anything about that? Do we have
No,
any
the last
plans?
time I did a tournament, it all got fucked up.
That's true. I was there.
Yeah, I mean, well, everybody was there. It took 4 months, so it's like, I mean, I'm not salty about it. It's like we tried something new. Well, what I'm salty about is that we tried something new and people just shat on it from the get go.
Can you guys hear
and
me?
then
yeah,
yeah,
again now. The video's all donked now, but yeah, I can hear you.
So I haven't heard anything about a tournament. I'd be fine with running one. I feel like we got a lot of COVID time.
Well, people have been asking.
Yeah, I would love to run one. I'm not doing what we did last time and giving everyone.
I don't think we're
the
ever
freedom
doing
to schedule
what we did
their own
last
games.
time.
Yeah. All right. Well, this week's shout out for Patreon supporter is going to go to Arthur Wands. Thanks, Arthur. You're a hero, and I appreciate you. I celebrate you.
Merlin, I am the strongest.
Why? Oh, there it goes. I think I've somewhat fixed the video now. Yeah, we fixed the video. Jesus, right in time to end the podcast. So thank you, Arthur, for bringing us this show and making this possible and for your financial support. We love you, buddy. Good night, everybody!